All Texas, high Texas. Where's my Detroit family? Oh, what's up, Detroit? I was looking for all of you. Where are the rest of your friends? And there's one. You guys aren't sitting together? What, you don't like each other? Is there something I need to know? All right. Yeah, we'll get the truth later. Okay, we're going to get started. So I want to introduce William Burks Spencer wrote a really amazing book called Breaking In. And when I called William and said, William, would you please do a panel discussion with some of the top creatives in your book so that you can give our participants here today advice on how to break into the industry, how to make your portfolio stronger, and what these amazing tips are. These panelists are top-notch, so you can't and you don't get any better than this, all right? So listen up, be prepared to ask them questions, and don't be shy, but they're wonderful, all right? So let's please, a well-rounded round of applause for William Burks Spencer.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. You guys just filter in. We're going to get started because we don't have much time. So this is the Breaking In panel. And I'm going to introduce our 5 panelists, and then we're going to talk about portfolios and getting into advertising. And we're going to try and leave some time for Q&A at the end. So let's start. We've got David Lubars first. He's Chief Creative Officer of BBDO Worldwide, Chairman BBDO North America. Come on up. You can sit wherever you'd like.
Where are you going to sit?
I'm going to sit right here. Let's just cuddle up. We'll hang out. Okay. Next is Nisha Tweed. She is ACD and copy lover at McGarry Bowen. She has a blog, Baby Food for Creatives, as well. Next, we have Chloe Gottlieb, SVP and ECD at RGA New York. Come on up. And next, we have Greg Johnson, who's president of Boone Oakley in Charlotte.
Hey.
And last but not least, Jake Kamosi. He's a creative director and copywriter at GSD&M in Austin. And I should mention his blog, but if you're vegetarian, you should not go there. It's Leave Me the Oink, Adventures in Food and Beverage.
I got a plug.
Where he talks about smoking and curing meats, brewing beer, and making sausage.
Nice.
All right, so let's get started. So, okay, first thing I want to ask is portfolios. What do you look for and what impresses you? Anyone?
All right. I think everybody here, all they look for is brilliant, evergreen, I wish I did that ideas. It's that simple and that challenging. It doesn't matter your background, where you came from, what it is, just brilliant things where you look at things just really differently. A new way to tell a story, just something, you know, it's just like a punch in the face, and nobody, you know, that's the training you want. How do I think out of a box and just look at things differently? That's what we're looking for.
I think at the same time, we are trying to fill a position, to be honest, that has work that needs to be done, and you need to be able to demonstrate that you can do that work and that you understand that. Like for instance, you know, I work in social, and we're looking right now for people. If you have your stuff together, please see me after. But you know, I see a lot of great books. I see a lot of great thinking. But then there's times where I'm like, oh, but you don't understand social media. You just put this on Facebook for the sake of putting it on Facebook. There's nothing strategic. There's nothing like big around the idea. And that's what we need. We need people who can understand the platforms, how they work, why they work, and how to write or art direct or concept specifically for that.
I think we're looking at RGA for a combination of craft, concept, and context. So the craft has to be there. There has to be clarity and legibility in interfaces and design. There has to be concept ideas that are interesting, that you could have the best craft in the world, the best work in the world, whether you're a writer or an art director or whatever discipline you are, and if it's not interesting, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And then context, can people understand what's happening today in media and technology and culture? Can they move with the speed of culture? Because we're a company that's always changing, it's very dynamic. So we want to see that there's an ability to be curious and open and keep changing.
For us, all of what they've said, I would probably add, we are a smaller agency, so, and I'm from more the account side of things and strategy side of things. So really looking for people that are thinkers, big ideas that are really smart, surprising, disruptive ideas. We've kind of made a name for ourselves with that. But I would also say, just in the context of kind of what we're talking about here, is I tend to look for also people that do have a cultural competency, that in their ideas they do display some sense of having a grasp on culture and its multicultural and multifaceted aspects, and being able to think within that context brilliantly.
Yeah, I think the only thing, I have to go last, so the only thing I can add is I think paying attention to craft is something that is getting a little bit lost, especially with a lot of the new books that I see. There's a lot more focus on 360 thinking, which I think rightly so. I think we're in a brave new media landscape that we weren't in maybe 10 years ago or whatever, when you had 12 print ads. But I think if you're a writer, honing your writing craft, being amazing, you get that great idea and then really, really polish it. And if you're an art director, work on your design skills and just make sure that whatever you're presenting, it needs to be a great idea, but it needs to be well crafted and thoughtful, and really well executed on top of that.
Yeah.
But I think what you're hearing people say about culture, and you want people to come up with things that'll be famous, part of the zeitgeist. People talk about it, not just stuff that's out there. There's so much stuff out there, noise. It's like pollution of shit out there. So can you do the few things that pop, that delight people, that are, people, I love that, and I love that brand, and I want to be part of that brand. Again, it's that simple to say, but that challenging to do.
One thing that Jelly Helm from White & Kennedy told me when I went and saw him when I was a junior is you need to demonstrate that you can think differently from anyone else in the building. And that's a really tall order. But it's also, if you think about it a different way, it's a little bit freeing, because you don't have to be better, you just have to be different. So they're looking for a unique point of view that's only yours. Next question. Are there any common traps or mistakes that you see a lot of student or junior books fall into? Any kind of common problems?
I can start. I think juniors especially sometimes get limited by the briefs that are given to them, and what I really challenge everyone to do is to create your own white space, meaning white space, good today. That's just basically be innovative. Stupid choice of words, but you understand, like basically write your own brief. And there's this one student, Duncan Hodge, who was applying for an internship this year, and he took the Nike Plus API, the data from that, and designed this amazing fabric in a running shoe that had the marathon someone just did designed with the data into the fabric. It was just so interesting, and I remember thinking no one at school asked him to do that. He just he loved sports, he was passionate, he picked a brand that he loved, he picked a company that he wanted to work at and a brand that we work with, and he just went for it. So I think a lot of it is about really listening to yourselves, getting clear about what you want to do, and then when you have that idea, write your own brief and just do the work that you know you can do. Don't wait for someone to ask you the right question.
I think that's a really great point as well, that he was able to take a brand like Nike and find a way to create something new and completely different based on it. I find that when I see books that have ads for Nike or Dove or any brand that like you feel like does really great work, they're already doing great work, appreciate your effort, but they don't need more ads. If you can come up with something completely out of the box and take 3 or 4 different things and bring them together and create something that's very, very different, new, and innovative, do it. But if it's like, here's a print ad for Nike, thanks for your time. We don't need that right now. Show me how you can take Pepto-Bismol and do something great with that. Show me how you can take Advil. We were just talking back there about Advil, you know. What can you then create that will make me go, oh my goodness, I'm never buying Tylenol again? Think about that instead, and I find that a lot of times in student books, it's like, let me do the cookie cutter expected work, and what we need you to do is the complete opposite of that.
It's a great point. There's two types of people. Those who want to cut a new path through uncharted jungle, and those who want to go on an already paved for them path. So why would you do that? Because you're trying to show you can think differently, you know. And I feel a lot of young books are very conservative and tight, and it takes a lot of, I guess, experience to loosen yourself up and think kind of like a kid, you know, like Picasso used to talk about. And that's really what we're looking for, just fresh, even if it's undisciplined, just like, wow, this is so different, and this brain is great clay that we can help. My son, I think, would be a good, he said a thing the other day, like he didn't even realize he said it, but he could do this. He's 20, and we saw a dead bee laying there. And it wasn't crushed or anything, it was just, we're like, oh, I wonder how it died. And he goes, sex with a noose. So I'm like, what a weird way. Like, think about how a bee died. And I thought, with discipline, that's the kind of brain you want to have, where you just look at things like in a different, warped way.
One thing that came up in the book a lot is creative directors often said, I don't want a book that's too controlled. That's my job, is to rein you in. I want to see how far you can go, and then it's my job to rein you in, rather than having a very controlled book and then trying to get you to go further. That's much harder. Anything else on common mistakes?
I think one thing that I see sometimes is there's not enough there where it's like, I'm going to use an app. And it's like, okay, well, an app's great, but an app's not an idea. You need to have the idea and then bring it to life through these, you know, all the amazing channels that are available to us. But it's like, if you put an ad in front of me and it's like, it's the internet. Like, the internet is not an idea. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to give you the insight. It's not going to be that amazing outside the box thinking. So really looking for that kernel of different thought, of a unique way of looking at things. And then you can bring it to life however you want, but don't get caught in the trappings of how you bring it to life. Look for that base core idea and make sure that's brilliant.
Okay.
And I would just add that to the degree that you can have somewhat of a point of view or a voice about the work that you're doing, you know, sometimes when we see work, again, because of kind of the nature of what we do, we see things that are just completely random and all over the place, and it's hard to discern sort of what is kind of this person's point of view and where do they come from. So a little bit of that in there, I think, would be helpful to help tell your story and to sell your work.
Okay. So once you have a portfolio, the next thing is to get in front of the right person, and to actually get in front of the person you want to work for. So what's the best way to do that? Do you have any tips for doing that? And like, how do books come to you? Do they always come through recruiters, or do people contact you directly? What do you think works?
Bribery.
Bribery's good. I think physical proximity is something that is really important, because most agencies are not, if you're a junior, if you're trying to get in, they're not going to pay to fly you out. You know, there's there's 1,000 other people who are right on the doorstep, beating on the door, waiting to get in. They're not going to say, oh, well, so, you know, Joe in North Dakota, he's really nice. We're gonna pay the $500 for his plane ticket. I would say, move to where you want to be. Move to where there's agencies. This is a great city for that. Los Angeles also. You know, go to a place where there's a lot of places, and be physically present, and bring your book in, and bother people. Look for any in you can get. I think recruiters are great, but they tend to get a stack of books this big, and so they're going through it. And a lot of times, there's books that cross their desk that I never even see. It's not that she does a bad job; she does an amazing job. But if you want to get my attention, figure out how to get a hold of me directly and put that thing in my hand through whoever it is, bribery, friends, whatever.
I would just emphasize the networking piece to that point. The personal touch, the connection that you're going to have on a personal level will get your book and your work seen a lot quicker and with a more effective review than just sending it in. There's a little bit of that has to happen as well, but definitely the personal touch is a good, strong recommendation for that.
I think for me it's a mixture of both. It's the network and it's the direct access and contact. I often ask on my blog page and Facebook and LinkedIn, hey, I'm looking for this, and people tag other people and then I go look, or people send me a message, so there's that direct connection. The other thing that to me is the #1 best is references, a referral from someone else. So when a friend sends me, hey, this person is amazing, or even to say this person's book isn't the best, but I've worked with them on this and I think that they're super smart, just need some time, you know, whatever, that means so much more to me than when a recruiter from work forwards me a book and is just like, hey, look at this person.
That's a great point.
You know, I think those are all good points. It's hard to continually understand what an idea is and how to generate them without constant, you know, training. So I think what's also good is, well, for example, I'll throw this out. I will make available 5 internships a semester and 5 during the summer for diverse young creatives and even not creatives, because we need this industry. We need the industry to reflect America. So yeah, you're already in school and training, but how do you keep the training going and then get in somewhere? So I think that's something we'll do. That's why I'm here. You know, I want to make this agency culture more, you know, just reflective of America and what's out there. So you know, you can call our in-house recruiter. If you have good work, she'll look at it. She's great, has great taste. We'll take you, you know? And we'll start recruiting in colleges, and maybe we should talk to high school guidance counselors to get people to like push them towards this as a career. You know, when I went to school, this was viewed as kind of a crummy trade. I went to communications school at BU, and like journalism was the academia, and we were like the, you know, it was sort of low rent. So maybe there's a way to get schools to think of this industry as a cooler, you know, more, you know, prestigious thing, but it's bigger than just your book. Like you need to be at a place, and you know, if you're good, I'll take it.
So wait, are you saying that you currently have an internship program, or you are going to start one?
We have an internship program, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's people who are connected, or somebody suggests, or a book comes in we like. What I'm saying to you, or that everybody is, I'm going to make sure it is a diverse, purposefully diverse internship program, because we need to seed people in and keep them in.
When is it starting?
Like now?
Yeah? Are you looking for people today?
Yeah.
All right, guys, there you go. I will hold you to that.
Hold me to it. Go ahead.
I think our recruiter, Lionel Carrion, is right over there, and he talks a lot about truthfulness, and I would bet that if you went after the 3 to 5 companies, agencies, whatever they are, that are right for you, meaning really knowing who you are, what your skills are, what you're great at, what your unique point of view is, and even more important, knowing what's behind the websites and marketing of all these agencies, like really doing your homework about what they're all about. If you go after a handful of the right places, you'll save so much energy and not waste your time, because you will bang your head against the door if you're going after the wrong jobs or companies that don't value the right things. And I think one of the most important things when I think about companies that value diversity, I think it's diversity on all levels. Like who are the companies that both value diversity in the people that work there, but also the way of working? Mm-hmm. Does the company value combinations of different skill sets coming together? Is it always just traditional teams of, you know, art directors and copywriters, and that's never going to change, and maybe there's a digital guy in an office somewhere that like jumps in from time to time? Or is it a company that values lots of different minds and lots of different talent, constantly changing, combining? Those are the companies that I think that are the future and that you really want to look for. When you find those companies, they're going to be the companies that are really going to value your work, and I think you'll just have a better chance of like getting in somewhere. And then once you find those companies, take anything you can get, an internship, working on Tylenol, doesn't have to be Nike. You know, RGA has a ton of clients, and I believe you can do good work anywhere. I appreciate people that want to take the brief for Advil and do something brilliant with it.
Another thing I want to add is when you're talking to a creative director, try to know who you're talking to and the work that they've done. That's important, and it shows that you've taken the time to get to know, you know, their background, that you actually do want to work for them and you know about the agency. That's an important thing. I want to ask another kind of nuts and bolts question, because so much work is digital now, and I want to know how you guys like to see work. Do people get out a laptop and kind of click you through stuff? Do people give you an iPad? Do people give you paper books? What do you like to see? Is there a role for a paper book as a leave behind kind of thing?
I think it's so funny that when you were talking about people giving you your books, you were like this, and I'm like, people still have books? That's crazy.
No, and I do think, but I think it's good to have something physical. Man, I might be a little bit of a dinosaur in that sense, but I think having a physical book's important. I do think a website is probably the best thing that you can do. And this is a little anecdotal, but I had a guy he was interviewing with me, and he had his whole thing on like an iPad, and the damn thing broke in the middle of like me looking at his book, and so he's just like, oh, you can't, and so, hey, paper's good, because paper doesn't break. But yeah, I think having some kind, especially like with the preponderance of social and digital being so important to what we do now, I think having a website is probably a good idea.
The last time I showed somebody my physical book was in 2007, and we used it as a placemat for our coffee. I didn't mind, because I eventually got the job. However, after that, I was just like, so I'm just helping people get coasters now? I'm okay without having one. I've had a site ever since.
So I'll sum up some points I made earlier. This is what I'm looking for. And by the time it gets to me, it's been through a few people at the agency, so it's usually online, and I don't want to meet the people. I just want to like see only idea and not be influenced by, oh, they're so charming, or oh, they're drooling, or, you know, I just look at the idea. A brilliant idea it's a platform, and then you build a lot of things off it. So it's not just digital or just traditional or just this or just that. It's such a big idea, it can hold everything. That, again, is easy to say, really challenging to do. But a big idea, and there's 12 different channels. That's what the business is today. And it could be a tiny little thing, a post. It could be a huge film. It could be an hour-long film. It could be a 6-second, 15-second. But it all wraps under this big idea that you can say in a sentence or in a text. Yeah. Like if I said to you, the kid can see dead people, but nobody else can. So most of you may know the movie I'm talking about. It's a 20-year-old movie. That was the reduction platform idea, and they made a 2-hour movie out of it. 6 cents. Yeah. Really great. So if you made 15 different channels coming out of that, and ways to engage and have people out there engage with you, that's what it is today. You need training to do that, and that's why, again, I say, if you're good, we'll take you and help you, develop those muscles.
Okay, we've got a little bit of time left. I want to open it up to the audience. All right, we got a question up here.
I hear you all emphasize on books, which I know they are very important. But do you all ever take chances on people? Like, I feel like there are so many talented people in here, and I don't feel inferior at all. But I can respect that they might be better at design, might be better at copy or strategizing. So with that being said, I feel like I'm great at other areas. I feel like I'm the hardest worker ever. Like, I haven't slept in such a long time, like any year. Like, I'm working constantly. I feel like that's my best quality. Is I will stay up all night till the job is done. But I feel like that's not appreciated as much as, oh, my portfolio isn't as great as you want it to be.
So do you take chances on people when it's the work ethic isn't necessarily demonstrated in the book?
I'm sure you see great books, but you always just go, oh, that book is good, but wonder if they're,
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we get a lot of that, to be honest. Like, you get a lot of people that have really polished, beautiful books. I actually saw one earlier this week, and then I ended up contacting a friend who was, found out taught that person and had some not so great things to say about their work ethic. And I was just like, well, I don't care how creative they are if they're not going to be a good person to work with, or if I can't rely on them to get the work done. So there is that balance, but I think I also had that opportunity to call somebody and ask, and not everybody does. So how can you then do something in your portfolio to display, look, I am the hardest worker ever, and I'm gonna get it done, and I don't have the polish. Like, you find different ways to show that and to express that, and it doesn't have to be in, here's an ad, here's this. It's, here's something that I've created and that I've put my heart and soul in, and people are gonna see that.
I think
sorry.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I think the risk in hiring someone based on passion or desire is that you may be setting them up to fail. I think part of why we look at portfolios, whether websites or books, is to make sure that this person's skill set is in line with the opportunity. And I think the last thing you want to do is, we like you, your enthusiasm is great, you're so passionate, and we put you in a position, and 6 months later, we're asking you to leave. So I think that's what the portfolio is kind of about, is making sure that the skill set aligns with the opportunity.
I was also going to say that you're all entering, or maybe you're already in an industry that is really intense. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress. A lot of digging deep happens every day, and it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So if you are tenacious and you are a hard worker, you may start at the same place as people in the room, but in 10, 15, 20 years, you'll still be rising, whereas people who have a lot of talent and brilliance often move around too much, burn out, have nervous breakdowns. So I just think, I really appreciate someone that's steady, hardworking, no bullshit, no drama, just go and just keep going. And that will serve you in the long run more than anything.
But I'm going to be really honest with you.
But you need talent.
Yeah.
I was guessing what I was gonna say.
If you don't have the talent, then
You've got to, everybody in this room has to kill, that's the price of entry, killing yourself and being passionate. And it's not like you just hire a book and, you have the person come in. You can tell, when you become like an old, crusty old salt like me, you can tell very quickly if somebody's got the passion or not. But it doesn't have to be a polished book. An idea is cheap. But you have to show you have an idea, or else everybody else is also killing themselves. So it's not enough, to be honest. You got to have some ideas, and kill yourself, and have no life, and be miserable and paranoid. That's the kind of people I'm looking for.
I'm looking for marathon runners.
It's tough skin to live in, but those are the best people. I heard a great saying. The best people are always terrified they're about to be fired. The mediocre ones are always shocked when they are.
Ooh.
And I bet you all these people feel that way. I do too. That's what we're looking for.
Okay. Got a question right here?
Yeah, what about people with non-traditional backgrounds? Like, I have experience in marketing strategy, and I've been working on the client side for years.
Hello?
So I don't have a portfolio, but I have tons of experience at work. So how would someone present themselves who doesn't have a portfolio, who's going to portfolio school?
You do have a portfolio. You just have to show all the work you've been a part of and your role in it. Anything you've launched, you show the work, but be very honest about what role you played in that work.
And I have friends who've started out in account management, let's just say, who are one of the creative directors at Mother. I mean, so I think you leverage what you have to get in the door at the agency you want to work for, and then migrate to the area once they see, your skill set. You can move to the area that you want to move to.
Can I ask you a question? Did you work with creative people so are you friends with them still? Because using your friends to help you make the transition over is always a good thing. Maybe they can coach you into some work.
So you're saying that a portfolio is still a necessary
Yeah.
no matter what?
Yeah, because you have to show it has to come from your brain through your arm onto something, or else it's hard for us to evaluate. And then again, maybe you're up to fail, because maybe that's not you. And then you're a great person, now we feel like jerks because it didn't work out. So you have to have pieces. So.
At the end of the day, there's business things, and there's things that need to be done, and we need 30 tweets, and you need to show that you can write sentences. That's important.
And I do think if you're from a background that isn't necessarily a creative background,
Really good one.
getting into an agency with your current skill set and being in a position where you might be a junior account person, if you really want to be a creative, work that job, find a creative director in the building that you get along with, and then work your ass off from like 7 to midnight every night and build a portfolio with a mentoring type relationship. If you can get somebody to take a shine to you.
That's great counsel. That's what you should do.
And
I've seen it happen.
yeah, and it happens all the time. I mean, I've got project managers who want to be creatives, and I give them the worst assignment I can possibly give them because none of the writers want it. And I'm like, here, work on this, and if you get it to me, if you do it well and eagerly and quickly, I will keep giving you assignments. And pretty soon, you've got a portfolio. Pretty soon, you've got a rapport with the creative director, and you can make that transition a lot more organically rather than trying to knock on a door and be like, hey, just take a leap of faith on me. But I do think something that we've all been mentioning, the intangibles of work ethic and good attitude are so important. I will take a grinder who is still pleasant at 9 o'clock at night and like doing their 18th round of headlines for whatever it is versus a touchy, brilliant person who has to leave at 5 and hey, you killed my idea. I'm like, I'm going to kill a lot more of your ideas.
So just quickly to build on that, there's been sort of like a debate as to whether or not you need to go to portfolio school. So I wanted to get everyone's opinion because I too feel like if you align yourself with someone who is going to mentor you and kind of teach you, I think, you know, when we're talking about diversity, to me it just seems like if we send everybody to the same school, is everybody just going to be taught the same way? So what are some of your thoughts in that respect?
It's not a black and white. Some kids come out of there, they're great, and others are, so I think they're useful. I do, because that's all you do is just do stuff all day, as opposed to the downside of a mentor is they have another job. But if you just go there all day and just keep thinking, as long as they show you the whole rounded thing instead of old-fashioned, just know how to do a film. And I can't really speak to, I don't know what the schools that are great now are, but I mean, some people are good teachers down there, and they, I guess it's case by case.
I think that the value of a portfolio school, a good portfolio school, and I think those are two different things, is that it's almost like boot camp. Jay and I were talking about this in the back because he didn't go to portfolio school, and I did. And it's mental exercising, it's creative boot camp because you are like doing this every single week and getting that mindset and learning how to deal with the rejection, deal with the no, you need to start all over again, deal with the how to think strategically, how to present, and things like that. It's the training that you need, and that's really helpful, even more so than actually the physical portfolio that you leave with. So there's that, but then I think at the same time you can get that and do that through different avenues. You can do it through internships, you can do it through just a regular art program in school. What we need at the end of the day is something that shows that here's how I think and here's what I can do with that. And however you come to that is up to you.
The problem with schools, I think, it used to be they were really good because there were 3 mediums and the people who taught knew the mediums. Here's a TV spot, here's a print ad. But now as soon as you leave the industry and become a teacher, it's changed so much in months that now you're dated. Yeah. That's the problem. But you can still learn, I guess, ideas.
Right. Yeah. It's really dangerous. You have to really look at the school. And I think there's so many paths into different disciplines and crafts and careers in advertising. But the problem with a lot of schools, and this goes for, within colleges or portfolio schools or within universities, is that people come in now as digital natives where it's intuitive to them to think across many contexts and media. It's just who they are and how they interact with the world. And then somehow the school just strips them of all of that and asks them to think about things in one way that they've always been doing it. So I think, again, same thing when you're looking for a school or a company. It's how is this school moving with the speed of culture? How is it combining what's happening in interesting ways? People, teachers, media, and it can't just be, to go in and I do think there's value to learning how to think and really come up with a brilliant idea as a platform, and that can translate into many different avenues. So that is like a core part of any program. But beyond that, you need to then be able to think about that idea across many different avenues and not just one path. Yeah.
And I do think kind of what you referred to it as creative boot camp. I think it's also, it's sort of like getting your master's in creativity, because at this point you just don't know what you don't know. And there is value in being forced to grind and work and exercise the muscle of creativity, because I really do think it's a muscle, and I think it's something that you learn by doing. The other great thing that comes out of portfolio school is you get connections, and networks and networking and connections are very important. It is extraordinarily expensive. Yeah. I didn't go to portfolio school. I waited tables and I wrote every night from like 10 to 2 in the morning. And so you can do it. You can get in without going to portfolio school. But if you're going to do that, I think you need to be insanely disciplined. I think your job needs to be trying to break in and trying to train yourself how to be a creative. And then I think you have to network a lot harder, because you don't have that built-in piece that you get from a portfolio school.
Okay. Okay, so let's go here, and then last question will be over here.
Hello? Okay. Hi, how you guys doing? So there's like a lot of new mediums that are coming out, like podcasting, physical computing, and like game design and whatnot. What I want to know as agencies, are you guys looking for any of these new powerful mediums? Because like social media is actually a nuanced career that just came on about maybe 5 years ago, really. And I want to know if there's anything that you guys are looking for in the industry right now.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is not be glued into anything. So for example, last year in 2013, we won a lot of awards for this thing we did on Vine for Lowe's. So now Vine's old and dated. So it's a constant churning. There is no horizon that's clear anymore. It's always new. So you have to have a certain kind of personality to thrive in that. Like, you like chaos. You like no horizon line. You like where it's not clear and foggy, and all of a sudden a beam of light comes through and you grab onto that, and it's not templated out anymore. So there's no answer. It's always changing now, and that's what makes it fun every day. That's what makes it cool to wake up.
And I think that's why we look for the thinkers, the people that can think across platforms and that have great ideas. And we should be able to see that you have the ability to take those smart ideas and that thinking and to use it in the ways that we would for a specific client. So I agree. I think things are changing too much to hire a Vine expert or a game developer. You know, some agencies probably, maybe you guys have those types of skill sets specific, but I know for us, we're looking for those smart thinkers that are high value. We think they're going to be high value players across platforms.
It's such an exciting time to be working in this industry, because you'll never know what the brief will be from a client, and whether they're asking for an online banner or a game or a website, an experiential installation, a connected retail space, it goes on and on. It's all part of their brand ecosystem, and every piece of that needs craft and care and attention and love. And hopefully you'll get to be in places where you get to touch lots of different briefs and solve problems in lots of different ways. I think one thing we haven't talked about today is just creative problem solving. Like, it is very dynamic what we're doing, and you never know what the new thing is going to be. So I always look for also just, is this person a great problem solver? And I often give creative exercises either on the spot or for homework, where you just give a brief and see what people can do. And I think that's a great way to kind of get past some of the BS that comes from like who really worked on this work in the book, or if people haven't had the right briefs, or if you see potential and you think this person might be a great experience designer. They don't even know what experience design is. I've talked to visual designers or art directors, and I've asked them, like, have you ever thought about experience design? They're like, what's that? Give them an exercise. Bring them in as an intern, train them with great experience designers. In 5 years, they're like the best experience design, being stolen from RGA to go to Apple or Google or whatever. It happens all the time, but it's really interesting. If the recruiter is good or the creative leader is good, they are like laser focused on finding talent and seeing what the potential is, and then if the book isn't perfect, giving you exercises or ways for you to prove that you actually can do what they think you can do or what you know you can do.
I think that's why it's, and we haven't talked about it much either, but that's why it's important to have non-advertising stuff in your portfolio, because that sometimes is what's gonna make you not only stand out, but give you different opportunities and show how you think and how you can be creative in a different space. So while you might apply for a job as a copywriter, but you also do photography and directing, that's gonna come in play at some point. It's good for your boss to know that you have that skill.
And even for social media, you were saying it's such a new discipline within our industry. You might be looking for people with backgrounds that aren't necessarily thinking they're a social creative or a strategist, and you think, wow, this work would be perfect, and they don't even know it yet. So it's up to us to actually know all the possibilities and try to match skills to possibilities. That's our job, and we have to do a good job at deciding and curating. If we don't do that, then it's wasted talent. Wasted potential, and that's the saddest thing. Like, it kills, my pride is when I see something in someone that they don't know even is a possibility and point them to a career that opens up a huge future for them, and later they're just like, I didn't even know that was a job. So,
that's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our responsibility.
Let's do our last question right over here.
I'm Sophia, Rhode Island School of Design. Earlier we had a question about how do you break in when you have a non-traditional background, but I'm going to actually pose the same question from the complete opposite kind of end of the spectrum, because like we talked about portfolio schools as kind of like creative boot camp. How do you break in when creative thinking isn't even like the part where you're lacking? Because like we have a whole like crew of RISD people here, and none of us are graphic design. We have like apparel design and illustration. I'm product design, and we're all just kind of thinking like, oh my god, my portfolio is like we're here, 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 and here. And so I guess my question is, because like we kind of have this like cloud of creative thinking, kind of just like the way that we studied is just like really, really general, and like you learn how to apply it in really kind of specific ways tailored to whatever you want to do. So I guess my question is, how do you make yourself appealing to like people like you who are in positions of choosing people to work with when you're not necessarily advertising?
It's a really good question.
Come talk to me right after this. I want to talk to all the product designers in here. Because there's a singular mind in producing a great product that's similar to what we do in advertising, and it's getting to the core essential idea and being very disruptive and innovative. I think, again, it goes back to just showing your talent and interesting work, and our jobs to match it. Our jobs to match it. Don't worry, just do great work and people will find you.
And my advice would be to link up with these other people that you're talking about who are creative and have different kind of subspecialties, and you can help each other make your work better. You know, you can get a graphic designer to help make your portfolio look better. If you're a product designer, I mean, the lines are all getting blurred. I mean, ad agencies are coming up with products. Product design companies are basically doing sort of advertising as well. So it's very cross-disciplinary, and you can do that too. And I think everyone would love to see work like that. And if you're working with other people who are in similar disciplines, you can help each other make your books better.
I think even flipping what Chloe said of it's up to us to tell you, to figure out where you can fit in. I think you can also figure that out. You can help guide us in like, so your portfolio to us, we're like, oh, but we need a copywriter, we need an art director, and this is everything, and I don't know. If you can articulate and tell your story in a way that shows me how you can help my business, my team, and my client, then sure, come on board. Like we recently hired a director who we then turned into an art director, and he did art direction work, but we also were like, oh, go direct this thing, and go do this thing, and create this other thing, because we knew he had that background, and we wanted that thinking, but we actually didn't want somebody that was confined by the creative idea and box of what an art director is. So you can be the one that goes and say, look, I'm a creative problem solver, I'm an innovator, I'm a creator, and I can do this in your business, and this is what you can put on my business card if that's what you need to do. But these are all the other things I bring to the table.
I mean, I think the really good agencies, you know, the ones you want to pursue, as Chloe was saying, take in all types of backgrounds because it adds to the gumbo and gives us more colors on our palette to offer a client. You know, the last thing you want to do is we give the client what we just know how to do. We should give them what they need, and it's not because we know how to do so much. So if you show, and the thing that unites all these different people is they have ideas. It's a broken record thing. If you have an idea type of mentality in book, whether it's product design or straight design or digital or, you know, films, whatever, ideas are those are premium.
And the only thing I would add to it is just, you know, someone said agencies are doing a lot of different things these days, so try to find those agencies that have already demonstrated that they're doing diverse things, that they're doing different things, that they are putting products in the market, or they're, you know, partnering with different types of companies to put new things in the marketplace, because those are the ones that you're probably going to have the most success with if you follow all that we've been telling you. The company has kind of got to be in that place where they want to do those types of things. But the opportunities, I think, are there now. I mean, agencies are evolving tremendously, and I know a lot of our growth is coming from non-traditional advertising stuff. So the opportunities are there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we're finished.
Can we please give our panelists, this is an incredible panel, just like turn it up a notch. That's best advice you could possibly get. Best advice you could get. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was brilliant. I can listen to them all day. So now we're going to get your portfolios reviewed. For those of you who are signed on for the morning portfolio sessions, those are starting out front. You'll see Emily Grothier. Check in with her. Make sure you're checked in. For those of you who are doing mentoring sessions, those are happening here. That's one room. This is another one. So we have the mentoring sessions. For those of you who are signed on for that, that's happening now as well. All right? And thank you. We're going to get back here in an hour and a half or so. Thank you.